considering tonight is political alignment between southern Nigeria and the Middle Belt towards 2023 elections. Our guest tonight is Mr. Mark Jacob. He is the National Legal Advisor of the Middle Belt Forum. Mr. Jacob, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you so very much.
Right. Can you tell us briefly about the Middle Belt Forum, which you are advising legally?
Well, the Middle Belt Forum is an organization that warehouses all the ethnic nationalities in the north. And when we say the north, we are referring to the area that was consigned and referred to as the north from the colonial era. Of course, the people in the Middle Belt are those that were never consulted before they were lumped into the Among Us North that Nigeria. And a lot of Nigerians do not know up to Borno. We have Middle Belt way south, Adamawa, Taraba, Benue, Plateau, Southern Kaduna, Kogi State. You go to Kwara, of course, Niger State. So when we talk about the Middle Belt, sometimes people make the mistake of that we are referring to Plateau State or Benue State or some few ethnic. But that is the area that comprises the Middle Belt. And that is the area the Middle Belt Forum superintends over. And we have a lot of ethnic nationalities that have a common bonding politically and sometimes even along religious lines. We're all one. And if you take our cultures and traditions, we are the same. If you go to Kebbi, you find the same traditional dance steps that you find in the Plateau. You come to Southern Kaduna, you find the same dance steps and the same kind of singing. You go to Benue, you come back to Kogi, we have a bonding that as long as you are from that environment, if they start singing, you find bearing. And then the folklore, the poetry, the traditions, the ways of dressing, the ways of communication, and the issues that guide our tradition, our upbringing, largely the same. So, an area that was composedly lumped into northern Nigeria without consultation. And over the years, this is the only region that has provided unqualified resistance to northern domination. From the stories we have from our parents, even from the now very famous Usman Danfodio jihad, most of these ethnic nationalities in the Middle Belt were never conquered by the jihad, but they were brought under subjugation by the British colonialists. And when it came to the decapitation of Nigeria and the amalgamation that took place in 1914, without any representation, the Middle Belt ethnic nationalities were lumped into northern Nigeria. And that is what has continued to give birth to injustice, to total annihilation and disrespect for the rights and privileges of the peoples within these communities. And the Nigerian Constitution and the current arrangements in the Nigerian political landscape has continued to subjugate these peoples and bring them under the control of an oligarchy that they do not share a common paternity with. And that is the pain we grew up. And unfortunately, most of southern Nigeria goes around and continues to allow this subjugation to continue, to allow and insist that we are northerners, to refuse to recognize that there is a people that refuse to be subjugated, and they're in the middle belt. And we find it very sad that although we share a common cultural heritage with most of southern Nigeria, people in the southern part of Nigeria, most of the time, do not accord us the recognition that we deserve and we want. It is Nigeria's political history that has continued to refuse to recognize the Middle Belt as a people. The consistent position of aligning with the South have over the years.
Right. I think our network is interrupting with our guest's presentation. Let's hope you'll come back for this important, very, very, very important discussion, because many people has been looking forward to this evening. So it will be a disappointment if we fail to hear Mr.
Hello?
Hello? Are you back?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So
yes,
I cannot see you. Okay. Well, we are sorry you got muted, but I think we got the gist of your introductory comments. So I noticed that in your first introductory comments is laced with northern domination, northern domination. Yeah. What form has this northern domination taken over the years, and what exactly do you mean by it?
Okay, let's start with the constitutional history of Nigeria. And I'll start with the ones maybe from 1957. There was no representation from the evil that was against the Middle Belt was that which allowed the Sadona of Sokoto to go to that negotiation table with other parts of Nigeria on behalf of all of us, without any consultation and without discussion as to who was going to speak for us. The southern Nigerian people accepted and encouraged the representation of these large number of ethnic nationalities in that negotiation for the formation of the country known as Nigeria, without representation from the Middle Belt. The Sadona selected the people that will accompany him to those conferences and discussions. There was no representation from the Middle Belt. When it came to the independence era from 1960, we have the records to show that although we had our own systems and leaders, none of those leaders was allowed to attend any discussions that gave birth to the country called Nigeria. And so the foundation of Nigeria was done without inclusion of the ethnic nationalities in the area referred to as Northern Nigeria. And that is why some people have the audacity up to today to continue to see themselves as rulers over everybody, starting from Sokoto up to Benue State, up to Kogi and Kwara State. And they have no sense of remorse when they're exercising or proclaiming superiority over everybody. Because the foundation upon which they stand was built on this faulty assumption that they represented us. And when the military even took over, yes, a number of our sons and daughters or sons in the military managed to be seen or to find their footing in government. But they were always made to look like servants, and their allegiance was completely to that northern oligarchy. And as we speak today, when Nigeria started talking of 6 or so geopolitical zones, they lumped everybody where they wanted, without discussion, without negotiation. Everybody is made to think that, yes, there are 19 northern states. And I ask, on which basis do you call them 19 northern states? And those 19 northern states, Nigeria today discusses 6 geopolitical zones. The Middle Belt region that was denied a place before independence, if you read the Willings Commission report, you'll find it there. The people agitated, our people agitated for the creation of the Middle Belt region. That demand was denied. Instead, the demand was suppressed. And that is the suppression that has continued up to today. But like I was saying before, every time there was a political dispensation, election or whatever, the Middle Belt ethnic nationalities always voted and supported Southern candidates. And I'll give you an example. We supported Awolowo. The UPN, the people in my community supported fully. They also support. We went back recently when Abiola contested the election. Our people unequivocally voted for Abiola. It came to Goodluck Jonathan. We have the records. Our people supported and voted consistently for Goodluck Jonathan. And there was no break from 2011 to 2015. Our people continued to support Southern candidates. But what have we got in return? It has been a consistent refusal to recognize that the Middle Belt ethnic nationalities exist. Every time there is a discussion, the Southern interests will rather align with politicians from the Northwest and in place of politicians from the Middle Belt. We have complained and raised alarm over and over, but nobody seems to listen. But perhaps if we do a rechecking, the experiences during the Jonathan era, if we take the data and use it effectively, it could provide guidance to tomorrow. There is no way we should not find alliances between the Middle Belt and the Southern Nigerian peoples. It's very easy, and it's something that can be achieved. The people in the Middle Belt environment can give and have continued to give support to Southern politicians. And if there is an interest to be pursued from the South, particularly in 2023, if the Southern politicians will be wise enough to link up and strike a strong relationship with the Middle Belt, there is nothing they cannot achieve. But the question is whether they can trust and build those bridges with the Middle Belt politicians. That is the question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mark Jacobs. I'm sorry for my tardiness. Thank you, Alumba TV, for holding the fort. Mr. Mark Jacobs, according to your analysis now, you just said that the relationship between the Middle Belt and the Southern politicians has been one-sided. Why do you think this has been the case?
Pardon, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
The relationship between the Middle Belt and the Southern politicians, you just said that the Middle Belt has been giving support to the Southern politicians. Have the
Yes.
Southern politicians reciprocated this support for the Middle Belt?
We have
And
not seen it. And that is the question we keep asking. That if you go back to history, political history and political dispensations, you start even from Awolowo, if you take the figures and you extract what happened in the North, you find out that most of the votes that Awolowo got were mostly from the areas that are Middle Belt inclined. And if you come to the era of even Awolowo after that, Azikiwe, you'll find most of the votes that these people got were from the Middle Belt areas. Good luck, Jonathan, you'll find the same trend and pattern of support. But when it comes to our issues, for instance, there was a moment ago, some time ago, that people were saying, okay, if the North is not interested in ceding power to the South, then support should be given to the Middle Belt to produce the candidate for 2023. There was no resounding support from the South for that proposal. And it doesn't help issues, because one good turn, they say, deserves another. We have not seen a reciprocity in the kind of support we consistently give to Southern candidates when it comes to political adventurism. And it is worrisome.
Okay, now, yesterday we discussed about understanding the Middle Belt to save Nigeria from disintegration. And now we are talking about political alignment for 2023. What form do you think this political alignment should take?
Well, it is not too difficult a thing to do once you engage the right persons. Like I've told you, we have people that are providing leadership in the Middle Belt Forum. We have people, traditional rulers, we have politicians, all within the Middle Belt. The people of the South need to identify those who are serious in these structures and engage. It's something that can easily be done. We know the persons that can be talked to. We know the traditional institutions that can be discussed with. We know the politicians that can be engaged in. Not people, not charlatans, not job guys who are just looking for ways to make ends meet. No, we know the people that control the grassroots. And I believe that once we engage and we present issues that are meaningful to everybody. For instance, the current challenge in the Middle Belt environment now is insecurity. We would be happy if there is a Southern candidate that understands the challenges that the Middle Belt is undergoing. We have thousands of IDPs in Benue, thousands in Plateau, thousands in Southern Kaduna, thousands in Niger, and so many more within the Middle Belt. Insecurity is rife within our environment. It would be good if we see a candidate who understands our predicament, who wants to address these issues frontally. One of the issues our people had with Goodluck Jonathan after 2011 was the fact that he didn't help us in the wake of the dangerous genocidal killings that were going on in the Middle Belt after winning the election. And so we are looking forward to a situation. We are looking forward to a situation where we will see a Southern politician who understands our issues and is ready to address it.
I can see Njenje Media's hand up. Njenje Media, your hand is up.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Mark Jacob, thank you very much for the presentation so far made. I would, you know, I sit down here, I listen to you, you're making the point that there has not been this reciprocity from the South. And I'm thinking, that the South hasn't reciprocated is at the realm of the presidency. Now, question to drive this point deeper is, has there been any time that someone from the Middle Belt is contesting and the South hasn't done the needful?
Yes. We have
Okay.
had adventures by people like Professor Jerry Gana and a couple of others that have showed interest in contesting for the presidency of Nigeria.
Sorry, without cutting you short there.
Yeah.
When you speak about Professor Jerry Gana, is
Yes.
Jerry Gana aligning with South? Is it someone you could, as you look at the world now, you say Jerry Gana is aligning with the South, or is Jerry Gana known to be the face of the oligarchies within the South, within the Middle Belt?
No, you asked whether there has been an attempt by anybody from the Middle Belt to,
yes, but in that attempt,
yeah.
Yes, but in that attempt, it must as well be someone that the South, in this quote unquote, can relate to.
Yes.
You see what I mean? Because there are people. The same thing applies. There are people from the South that if they say they want to become president, and the Middle Belt say no, they won't vote for him because they know whose interest they represent. I don't think it will be fair for us now to say, oh, Middle Belt didn't give us when this person came out, because this person is as good as giving it to the other person. So that's why I've calculated all those that have shown interest from the Middle Belt. And I think, in being fair, where, because Nigeria has this unwritten constitution where power, adopted what the PDP has said, power shift between the South and the North. To say that if power moves to the South, now, your argument for me will make a perfect sense if by the time power moves to the North, the argument must be it must be not central or middle belt, because sometimes they are not one and the same anyway.
They are not.
They are not one and the same. But at least if we use the nomenclature Northwest, it may capture maybe 70-75% of the entity. But at least I hope that kind of gives direction to what I'm saying. First of all, if the South has, and it comes another one, the argument should be made between the Northeast and the North Central, because they are, if the Southeast are saying we are being marginalized, these are the two North that I think also, as long as the president is concerned, that they are also being marginalized.
Now you have just driven home the point I was making, that these classifications of Northeast, Northwest, North Central are creations of a group that has consistently refused to accept that there is a middle belt. And we say, no, you cannot come, even by United Nations standards. We have a right to our names. We have a right to our nomenclature, what we want to be called. Now, we have a situation where people come together and pass an MOU. Why, for God's sake, do you insist on attaching North to our nomenclature? Must we be North Central? Why can't we just be Central? But because some people want to continue to dominate other parts of Nigeria, they will consistently insist that there must be a North something in discussion. And I think it's very wrong. When you want to propose regions or geopolitical zones, ask the people, for God's sake, what they want to be known as. Now, I'm going to lay one small emphasis. I mentioned Jerry Gana just to buttress the point that persons from within our area have come out. And by the way, when you begin to say or ask whether he is the face of the Middle Belt, it's the same question that some people ask when they see Peter Obi coming out. They hear of Soludo, And they begin to say, who is he? Meanwhile, they are sitting down in Sokoto or Kano, and they are trying to determine who is the correct Igbo man that should contest election. What audacity! Who gives them that right? But it's the same thing that is occurring with the Middle Belt. We have a right to say, look, if you are giving us the slot, this is our son, he can take it. But what is happening in Nigeria is that people sit in their own comfort zone and try to determine who is who for you. I have had discussions and we have had debates with people who come to say that, why should the Igbos be given presidency? Because when they are not united, and that they don't even reach out to other parts of the country. And I have asked, how many times did the current president reach out to people in the Southeast before he became president? And who told them that the Southeast requires their approval before they say this is the person that will represent them? If there is a position to be occupied by the Southeasterners should be trusted to bring the correct material. It should not be something that somebody sits on.
Mr. Mark Jacobs. Okay, I think Mr. Jacobs' network is okay. He's back.
We respect each other in this country. Yeah, sorry. So this communion and confederation allowed to determine one who sat down somewhere and said they will tear Central, lump sum in Northwest, lump sum in Northeast. It's the same thing that the Europeans did when they took Nigeria and shared it into different parts. And we cannot continue with that inheritance from the colonial era in current Nigerian society, where people sit down and design what you should be called and what you should do. And when there is opportunity, they want to determine for you who will represent you. It's not correct. And nobody should encourage it.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Jacobs. Now, do you think that belt has made it difficult for the Southern politicians to align with the Middle Belt? And if you think so, how can we solve this?
I have mentioned previously that there is need to engage. And I like what is happening today because it's one of the ways to go about it. Let's communicate. Let's talk. And sometimes we need proper discussions behind the cameras where we will lay down simple things for people to understand. The Middle Belt warehouses and has professors, doctors, experts in every field of endeavor in the world. But because you call us North, we are not even permitted to excel, even in the things we are good in. I have done a lot of work outside my own environment. I worked in Lagos, I've worked in other parts of this country. And I know that despite the fact that I go to church with my Yoruba friends, they have no difficulty in saying I am Omo Hausa. I go to work in Owerri, and it's so embarrassing that they will call me Mala. The people in my village, some of them had to learn Hausa the way we learned English. And we find ourselves, our culture is more amenable to the southern cultures. We share more with them than the people in the other part of the country. But they're happy, they are quick to say, we are Omasa. I am a Brazilian man, and I'm very proud of it. So when you call me Hausa, it's an insult. But despite education and exposure, the southern communities have consistently refused to recognize the existence of the Middle Belt. Out of, I don't know whether to call it mischief or convenient political alignment. They find it more convenient to call everybody a Hausa or a Fulani or a Malam. And it baffles me that enlightened persons, some professors in geography, and serious psychologists, and people who studied typography and the environment, that despite the knowledge that they get from data, that we are not all Hausa, they continue to insist that the Biro man is Hausa, that an Angas man is Hausa. And this is the predicament. So when a person comes from another part or from Northwest and postures as representing me, the Southern politician finds it more comfortable to relate with him. And it is largely out of lazy enterprise in research that people in the South are deceived to think that we are all Hausa. And to think that if they have an alliance with somebody from Kano or Katsina, they have got a solid alliance to win the votes in the North. This is not true. Goodluck Jonathan won the election in 2011. Not really because that alliance was with those who were from Katsina or Kano. No, there was a team that made sure he had a solid alliance with the Middle Belt communities. And go and check the details of the election pattern. The votes came. Goodluck won an election in most of the northern states. And he didn't win because he spent money. No, he won because there was a connection. There was an interaction. There was a bridge building that connected with the people. He threw away that process in 2015 and swallowed the bait that some people threw at him. Some of us that were involved in his campaign in 2011 were dumped when it came to 2015. The result is very clear. And I'm saying that we can make things work if the political class and the elite go deep into research, take advantage of existing data, look for who to talk to. Don't continue to talk to people that are using the fake facade of a North. There is no longer any homogeneous North. There is none. And there are persons and people in the grassroots that are willing and ready to make sure that stranglehold on ethnic nationalities by a small cabal in the North is broken. But unless they get confidence that there is a bridge between the South and them, they would rather not vote.
Okay, let us call on one of our participants, Mohammed Ali Baba.
Yes.
I have asked you to unmute. Mohammed Ali Baba, are you there? Mohammed Ali Baba, if you're not here, then
hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I think first we need to those claiming middle belt need to properly define what that so-called middle belt is. I'm from Niger, and I'm not a middle belter. So, and for instance, now the president of the so-called middle belt movement is from Yobe. The middle past one was from Adamawa. So there's this, subterfuge about what really is this so-called middle belt. And rather than to come into the open and define middle belt for what it is, it's a platform for non-Muslim northerners. QED. They keep misleading people into thinking middle belt is not central. It's certainly not central. I don't know where Mr. Jacob came from, maybe Plateau or Benue, because even originally during the Taka days, what was called Middle Belt was Benue Plateau State. Now it's been extended to Yobe. You can even, it's such an amorphous movement without definite geographical boundaries. You can find people from Kebbi called Middle Belt. In fact, even some enclaves, non-Muslim enclaves in Katsina are regarded as Middle Belt. You go to Jigawa, Kazaure area where you have non-Muslim houses, they call themselves, or they are called Middle Belt. So it's strictly a religious platform, but they have not had the courage to simply come out, and they keep deceiving those that really have not, taken opportunity to, have not read or understood them, to misrepresent it as if it's not central. Check out the North Central now. Niger, Kwara, Kogi, Plateau, Benue, and some put FCT, and then of course Plateau. That is what North Central is. And North Central has nothing really to do. It's simply, just like you have the South. You have South, South, Southeast, and Southwest. It's simply a geopolitical description. It has no affiliation with either Hausa, Fulani, or Jihad, or whatever. So people are just being unduly sentimental and emotional and attaching meanings that do not exist into some of these issues. So North Central is North Central. Middle Belt is an amorphous political movement that have lacked the courage to define themselves properly, but it's strictly a religious appellation. Check out the leadership. Let them tell you who is from the north, or where are the Muslims in that so-called movement that they are misrepresented as if it is not central. So we need to come clear first. If, like the jurists will say, you can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. And anything built on falsehood is bound to collapse. And that is what is happening. So North Central is not synonymous with Middle Belt. That needs to be made clear, because we, check out now, we have 6 states. 4 of them are actually consistently from 1999 led by Muslims, because Muslims are in the majority in those places. And that's why they are not, Muslims in the North Central are not regarded as Middle Belt, because it's really a religious platform. So that has to be made clear first before you can think of any alliance. That Middle Belt is strictly a religious platform. North Central is not synonymous with Middle Belt. So there's no religious.
Thank you.
That's my point.
Thank you, Mr. Ali Baba. Let us hear from our guest, Mr. Mark Jacobs. He has called you out and said that Middle Belt is not part, or is not central. So can you please tell us geographically, what states are you talking about when you refer to the Middle Belt states? Mr. Jacobs, are you there? Mr. Jacobs?
Yes, hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, did you hear me?
Yes, I heard you.
So can you tell us geographically?
No, let me start from where he stopped. You see, this is the arrogance that we talk about when people, because of their conceived position, think they have the audacity, the right to give you the name that you should call yourself. You don't have that. I didn't get his name. But if he's from Niger State, let him call Jerry Ghana and find out whether he's a Middle Belter or not. We have a Middle Belt Forum branch in Niger State that is peopled by indigenous of Niger State. It's very possible that the last caller is a settler in Niger State, and so he doesn't like the nomenclature of Middle Belt. We don't blame him.
Sorry, I'm Nupe. Nupe are in the majority in Niger State. I'm Nupe.
No,
from Bida,
majority or minority. Niger is the majority. Jerry Ghana was the president of the Middle Belt Forum before now.
That is because he was a Christian, not because he was
Nupe. Mr. Mohammed Ali Baba, I would ask you, and then I would get back to you.
Ali Baba, go and ask Jerry Ghana, is he from Niger State? Is he Kanuri? Is he Berry? No, he's Nupe, and he was the president of Middle Belt Forum. So if you don't know, keep quiet. And in fact, you don't have the right to determine what people want to be called. We have baggy people in Niger State. The current national secretary of the Middle Belt Forum is from Niger State. And he's not a small person. Go and find out. He's a former deputy governor of Niger State. He is a member of the Middle Belt Forum. And his community fully identifies with the Middle Belt Forum. If you go to Kebbi State, you find people of high standing, whether Muslim, animist, or Christian, they identify with the Middle Belt Forum. It is you who insists that you are not, that have a religious problem. We don't have a religious problem. The current vice president of the Middle Belt is from Niger State, and he's a Muslim. His name is Njenje Abdullahi. Go and find out. We have Muslims from Taraba, from Adamawa. They are identified with the Middle Belt Forum. We have Muslims from Niger, from Kaduna. They identify with the Middle Belt Forum. Yes, if you say it is amorphous and it is all over, that is correct. Because if you don't know, the 6 geopolitical zones you are referring to are not in the Nigerian constitution. They are very, just something, a thing that was conceptualized for political convenience. North Central is not a constitutional issue. Northeast is not a constitutional matter. Northwest is not part of our constitution. So people should stop this fixated approach that because something was not conceptualized or not put in the way they want, it should not exist. Who cares whether you recognize or accept it or not? And your language says so-called. We are not so-called. We are rightful owners of Nigeria. And we are entitled to use the name we want to use. The United Nations Declaration in 2017 says it very clearly. The rights of indigenous peoples to bear their names, to own their land, to be entitled to the nomenclature they want. You cannot impose your own nomenclature. We didn't say that Middle Belt is not central. We are saying that that creation, that so-called thing you call geopolitical zones, is not recognized by law. It's not recognized by the Nigerian constitution. It's an illegal imposition on the ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. And that is why it should not be relied upon for any discussion politically. Nobody should use that to silence people. We didn't say we are not central. Of course, states within the North Central fall within the Middle Belt environment. And we have no apologies for saying we want to be known as Middle Belt.
Okay, let us call the next person that is on our list, Mr. Akin. Mr. Akin, your hand is up and has been up for quite a while.
So you say you allow me to respond.
Mr. Ali Baba will come back to you. Let us hear from Mr. Akin and then we'll come back to you, Mr. Ali Baba.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, please. Mr. Akin?
Yes, good evening, everybody. I have 4 quick points.
Good evening.
In the 50s and the 60s, the area called Middle Belt now refused to align with the South. It's a fact. The leaders of the Middle Belt then, D.S. Taka, Isaac Shau, all of them prefer to be in NPC. Awolowo said he tried to align with the Middle Belt. It was refused. In Second Republic, the Igbo MPP tried to align with Plateau Benue Access also. So the South have been reaching out to the Middle Belt severally in those early 60s period, but the Middle Belt did not really reciprocate. They always want to go back to the core North at that time. Second point, the people put on a problem in Nigeria today is the military. The Middle Belt constitutes the bulk of leadership of the military. Only 2 notable Fulanis or Northerners are in the military, Buritala and Yadua. But you have Tiwe Danjuma, you have Dom Kabali, you have Dongoyaro, you have Duogaba, you have John Shagaya, You have David Mark. These are leading soldiers from Middle Belt. They were on the table when Nigeria was being configured. What did they do? They were taking instruction only from the North. They did aside their identity. If they did, we will not be where we are today. That's just a fact. Please don't blame anybody from the South. Let's just face the problem of the North, how we're going to get out of where we are now. That's the real issue. Point number 3. I know it's very difficult now for Middle Belt to behave like the Yorubas and the Igbos. Igbos now have their own identity. The Yorubas are coming up to assert their own identity too. It is now the Middle Belt that we have to decide on their own now. Nobody can give you anything. You now have to come out to be the third force that said Nigeria must be reorganized and you must have leadership to call for it. You cannot depend on the South. The Southwest is organizing, the South is organizing. The South-South, we are not so sure. But if you organize your own area, then we are going to have a critical mass of people that say Nigeria want to change. Oh, you're too quiet in the Middle Belt. I know what I've done. Your present leaders, Obada Melafia, Pogu, the leader of the Middle Belt Forum, you are not organized. The last point, let's face it, there are 2 regions in the Middle Belt. There is the eastern axis of Middle Belt, majority Christian, that's just a fact. You have Southern Borno State, you have Adamawa, you have Taraba, you have Plateau, and you have Benue. They are majority Christian, that's just the truth. Then the western flank, Niger, Kebbi, Kwara, Kogi, they are also majority Muslim. Why not project these 2 regions in the Middle Belt and organize yourself? If you can be one region, fine. But nothing says we cannot have 12 regions in Nigeria based on who can live together. So my thesis, if you can carry the message, is that it is the Middle Belt that will organize themselves and ask for your rights. Your old leaders sold you out. All the generals who were in the army, they had all the rules, all the powers. They were having guns in the FRC those days. Where were they? What are they looking? They didn't do anything. They were tools for Muritala, tools for Yadua in the military. So please, Middle Belt, you need to do a quick conference very soon to agree whether you're going to have 3 identities in Middle Belt or 2 identities, or if it's only 1, fine, if you can. But you must project yourself and say no to what we are now. The killing is too much in the Middle Belt for the way you are reacting. The killing is too much. You are being slaughtered like chicken and everybody is quiet. You're supposed to say you are seceding. You can be landlocked. What's wrong with it? You can be landlocked. Why not? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's listen to Mr. Ali Baba, then we'll go back to Mr. Mag.
Hello, thank you. Hello, Ma.
Yeah, we're hearing you. We're hearing you.
First and foremost, I'm glad that Mr. Jacob finally admitted, unlike what he was insisting earlier, that Middle Belt is not synonymous with North Central. That is a clear fact, and that's what I've established. The 2 personalities he mentioned in Niger State are in the Middle Belt because they are both Christians. Jerry Ghana is a Christian. There is a minority in Nupeland. Yet, in 1983, I was part of the youth wing of NPP when they rebelled against MPN, and we elected him irrespective of his minority status as a Christian. It has been a disservice for him to align with another Christian platform after what he had done to him. Shem Zagbainu, who was deputy to Talba, he's also in the Middle Belt because he's a Christian. That is an established fact. So long as these guys will not admit that this platform, and that Shipogu, Sime Lafia that they mentioned, the only lone member of the ESCO of the Middle Belt Forum, that Abdullah is from Nasarawa State, is the lone Muslim there. So, and if you are not reflective, that is one. Two, the last speaker was mentioning Don Kambali and co that were part of the configuration of Nigeria. They were never part. They were small boys that time when Awolowo, Sardauna and co were configuring Nigeria. They only became prominent after the coup because of what, and then North was monolithic. That is why the killing of Sardauna and other Noto and the Tafawa Balewa was revenge under the leadership of Tiwa Danjuma. We had a monolithic North that time because they were products of the same Sardauna and co. They were the ones that opened them and got them into the military. So they had to pay back. Then it's latter day politicians that are very divisive, that are bringing religion and tribe. Middle Belt can never be united because unlike Southeast and Southwest, which had language, common language, we don't have any language. In fact, if not for English, if anyone speaking, if Pogo will speak with my Lafia, they will use Hausa. This same Hausa they claim they resent is the only lingua franca we have in the North. And that is what they used to communicate before the arrival and even with the arrival of English. That's why when miscreants in the South want to attack Northerners, they don't discriminate between the so-called Middle Belt and core North. Once you are not from the South, as it has happened even in the Southeast, when these IPOB are attacking people, they attack any Northerner. They still see you. So one could only be misleading himself and living in denial if he feels he has any identity. The most binding identity that the Southeast and the Southwest have is their language. They have common culture and they have common language. We don't have it here. So, and most importantly, I'm opposed to some of all these divisive movements because that's not what matters. See the wedding in Kano now. Did you see any discrimination? These guys only use religion and ethnicity to divide people so that people will continue to knock their head. These poor masses that are misguided, they think there is salvation in religion or there is salvation in these people don't believe in any religion. They owe no allegiance to the elites owe no allegiance to any tribe or religion. Their personal narrow interest is what matters. So divide and rule has been an ancient strategy of the ruling elite, and they are using it. There's not just like this people are saying, even in the Southwest or the Southeast. Don't they have governors? Don't they have local government chairman? Is there any development between 1999 and now?
All right, we thank you. We thank you, Mohammed. Let's
religion or is there old division?
Mr. Alibaba, let's restructure the hello.
Chair, please, can you allow other people to speak?
Yes. Yes, please. It's all right. Let's restructure the conversation. There are several arms of this topic that can be held on other occasions, but today the theme revolves around: is it possible for the Middle Belt and the Southern politicians to form a political alliance towards 2023? And I listened to Mr. Fapohunda Akin, when he made his presentation. I would have loved Mr. Jacobs to respond to some of the things he said. If not, we call another person. Mr. Jacob, do you wish to respond? Do you still remember what Mr. Akin said?
Yes. Now, what Akin said is largely incorrect. Taka, for instance, never aligned with the NPC. That is completely wrong and unfounded in history. That must be understood. Two, if he's referring to the military, we have our issues with those our brothers that were high up there during the military. But we sympathize with them because most of them were sent to military school from that arrangement known as Northern Nigeria. And they owed their appointments to that arrangement. And so everything you said, everything they tried to do was to be loyal to those who gave them a lifeline. It is not as if they never noticed the inequalities that were going on. And if that was the situation, we cannot today crucify them because they tried to be loyal to a system that gave them an opportunity. But ask them today. Some of them are still alive. Whether they are happy to be referred to as Northerners.
Well, Mr. Jacob, before I call another person, would you agree that
no,
if when someone is in power, Mr. Jacobs, you just made a statement. If someone is in power and feels that he should be loyal to someone who gave him a lifeline, so to say, and then failed to project his own identity, will he not blame himself if eventually his people started suffering because of what he failed to do when he was in office?
That's what we are saying, that we have also told them that they failed to do the needful at the time they were. But you cannot use their experience of posturing to crucify the rest of us.
All right, thank you very much. All right, I thank you for that question. Let's call on others because I'm trying to give you consideration, sir, because unless you want to stay here, this is a very topical question. It may keep you here for 3 hours. So let's just focus the discussion so that we allow you time to go to bed very soon. Let's call on Mr. Dr. Igbo, please. Sorry?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
Mr. Jacobs, just I want you to respond to each of these contributors shortly, so that we'll just move ahead. Dr. Igbo, please, let's structure the conversation. 2 minutes.
Yes, we have to structure it, but there are some anomalies because when there are bombs in a football field, the players cannot play normally. So it's normally needful that those holes, portals have to be closed. So there are certain issues Mr. Ali Baba raised that one has to be corrected. One has to correct. I think I spoke on most of these things yesterday, and it was like he was not there. It was like even Mr. Jacob was not in yesterday's program. Otherwise, we'll not be repeating, all these things again. First of all, Mr. Ali Baba has no proof to tell us that he is a Nupe man. Speaking Nupe, does not make you Nupe, because we know today that the emir of Suleja can claim Nupe, but he's of Zaria origin. The original Hausa kings that were driven by Fulani. He said, so he can claim Nupe today. You also talk of who? You also talk of the emir, the Esunupe today. The Esunupe is a Fulani man. And he claims that he's a Fulani. He claims he's a Nupe. He also claims he's a Nupe. The emir of Gambaru of Kwara is also a Fulani man. But he claims, Saraki goes with Olushora, all of that. They are Fulani, but they claim to be Yoruba. So we should not be deceived by that your classification, because we are speaking from the point. And telling me that the North is whole, is a monolithic area, it is false. And telling me that Sadwana, that the real pogrom was as a result of Sadwana, no. The coup that killed Sadwana was led by my brother Nzogo. And only two Igbo people joining the coup. Out of 135 he led, only 2 Igbo. Then one Ijo Waribo. The rest were Northerners. And you're telling me that they were monolithic. And he conquered North, stayed there for 4 days ruling. Nobody disturbed him. So you can't tell me the North was monolithic, and that was why Sadona's death. Sadona's death was never avenged. What caused the problem really was the solution of regionalization and maybe killing of some middle best army commanders. If you had Danjuma in his interview, he said that they were not disturbed about the killing of the politicians, including Sadona, because they deserve to die. But waking up to see their senior army officers killed, they could not stomach it. That was the reason. So you should not define the North. The North has never been monolithic. And when we are talking, Mr. Jacob was being economical with West. The point is that the spirit behind Middle Belt today is what? Christianity, because you are killed because you're a Christian, not because you're a Northerner, not because you're a Middle Belt. And we are talking of Middle Belt being a new phenomenon. As I said yesterday, the idea of Middle Belt was introduced by Lot. by lot, a pension man of Northern House of Assembly in 1947. In 1947, when he formed the Northern non-Muslim leagues in the House of Assembly, when there was a private motion banning Christianity in the North. Here, and by 1950, 1950, Middle Belt League was formed. So Middle Belt has been long. And throughout, in 1953, just as Mr. Jacob said, in 1953, Constitutional Conference in London that actually defined regionalism in Nigeria, the Middle Belt was not recognized. They were not accommodated. And they continued protesting. And that was the reason for the Williams Commission of 1958, in which they said, okay.
Okay, thank you.
No, let me conclude, please. Let me conclude. Because we are talking about...
Please conclude. Conclude, please.
Please. Moderator, always follow somebody's argument before you cut the person off. Even if you are a teacher, you follow a argument before you cut him off. You don't just cut when somebody is saying something. We are here on a serious business. I want to correct some anomalies here. You're telling me, okay. Williams Commission talked about the problem of minorities in Nigeria. And that Williams Commission said, the British, because of this urgency of independence, the British will now create what? Regions, new regions, that they will leave it to the politicians. And then there have been Middle Belt contests since, request for Middle Belt region, leading to TV riots that led Midwest State Movement, core movement, and they were revolting. And that was why, during the Constitutional Conference, the short Constitutional Conference Gowon made, the Middle Belt, especially the TV, insisted that they must give them states. And that was really why the 12-state structure was created. And Gowon made it balanced 6-6. It was the same Northerners who felt that when the states were 6-6, with the Middle Belt joining the South, then the South with majority, Murtala Mohammed came and cut it off and increased it to the North. So coming here to tell us that North have been monolithic, I cannot be monolithic. Historically, even in colonial times, Danjuma's father was forced to become a Muslim, and when Sardauna died, he went back to Christianity. A lot of these people who are in the Middle Belt ethnic group, who are Middle Belt ethnic group, were forced into Islam. A lot of them reconverted to Christianity after Sardauna's death. So the idea of Middle Belt is even older than Ariwa, because this Ariwa you are talking about, only the Ariwa local government, only the people from Ariwa local government in Kebbi State are referred as Ariwa, and then it became a general name. And you are talking of Awudobo, who is a member of Ariwa. Is he an Hausa man? But Ariwa defines an Hausa identity, not an identity. Let me stop here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wesigwe. Thank you so much, Dr. You know, as you're a historian, so if we let you, you would just speak and keep speaking and keep speaking. But we appreciate your wealth of knowledge. But our time is fast spent, so I have to call the next person. The next person on my list is Ambi Ambituni. I hope I pronounced that well. Ambi Ambituni, I'm trying to unmute you. Please go ahead, the platform is yours. Ambi, if you're not ready, I am going to call the next person.
He's unmuting, you are beating him again when you try to click. So let's allow him time, please.
Okay.
Can you hear me now, guys?
Yes, please, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you. You kept unmuting me. That's where the confusion is. Thank you very much, and thanks for I think Akin and Dr. Wanko that provided a really truthful analogy of where the situation is. I think I want to take a rebuttal about this whole Middle Belt and some of the points that were raised around Christianity and Islam in the Middle Belt. I think the only correction perhaps to the point that Dr. Wanko made is many of Middle Belt and indeed tribal people are also of some mix of either Christianity or Islam. So the Middle Belt is not clearly defined within religion. I think that is a known fact. I have a cousin that bears the name Muhammad, but he's a Christian. So that's just to give you an idea of some of the dynamics of religion in the Middle Belt. It's not a clear cut. I'm from Taraba, and I know how these things work. I think one of the strongest points that I got from the conversation so far is the point Akim made about that lack of identity, which I think also Dr. Nwabeze tried to touch on. We know we've been marginalized. We know we are being killed like flies. And it angers and annoys me that the Middle Belt still do not have a united front, a sense of identity like the Igbos and the Yorubas do have now. Certainly being in the core north has never favored us at all. It has always played to our disadvantage as a Middle Beltan from Taraba going and attending university in ABU Zaria. I knew that my JAM score had to be far higher than someone from Zaria, for example. So it is absolutely clear that within the dynamics of Northern Nigeria, the Middle Belt has been marginalized. I think the challenge for Mark and your group is to begin to forge an identity that would allow people like us to begin to identify with that identity. And I don't care if that identity becomes violent or nonchalant in its way, because it looks like the only language that Nigeria understands is that nonchalant and violent attitude. We need to begin to position ourselves in a way that allows us to protect ourselves from these insensible killings, and then begin to also draw support from our southern brothers, because it looks like we are more alike to the Southerners than to the Northerners, if I'm completely honest with you. Thank you.
Can I respond?
Ambi, yes, please go ahead. Ambi Tony. Ambi Tony, we lost you there.
No, I've finished my point. I think Jacob wants to respond on that.
Hello? Okay. I have enjoyed the intervention by Dr. Nwankwo.
Into another hour, and this program was, and we need to close the program as soon as possible. But Mr. Jacobs, please go ahead.
Okay, I will say that I enjoyed the intervention by Dr. Nwankwo, a very informed personality from the East. And honestly, I agree with him. And I also agree with the other speaker who said we need to assert our identity. This is what we are working on. But you see, we also need the understanding and collaboration of our Southern brothers. Just like the last speaker and my brother said, we share a lot more with our Southern brethren than anyone else. I feel very comfortable going into the Southeast or any part of the South for that matter. I feel very comfortable and welcome. But there is no moment I move into the North that I'm not treated with hostility and hatred. It is palpable. You can feel it. You can touch it. And why? Why people want to say it is religious is because in their mind, they hate me not because I am not effective, I am not educated, or I'm not contributing to society. No, but simply because I am not a Muslim. And it is all over the place. Our people have been singled out for destruction, not because they have done anything, but because we align with the South at every opportunity given us. And I thank Dr. Nwankwo for bringing out the clear historical data that cannot be deleted. Look, this country can go ahead, but we need to negotiate it on equal terms. You cannot continue like this and expect that there will be peace and that people will continue to endure slavery while you rule over them with impunity, with hatred and disrespect. This is what we experienced. My parents experienced it. I came alive. I am over 50, getting to 60 now. I have lived with it. And just like my brother from Taraba said, if you want admission If our children want admission in ABU or any other northern university, they need to score over 200 points in JAM, while other people just need 40. And for no crime. And you want to say that we are one monolithic North? Up to 1994, people from Zaria were sending district heads to my village. The emir will sit down in Zaria and appoint somebody to be district head in my village. Yes. Collect that and send them to Zaria. And you want us to continue like that? You are angry that we decide who we want to be. You are not happy with us, yet you don't want us to go. We have been agitating for the creation of a new Kaduna state since I was born. They will use their majority and connection to stop that from happening anytime. You hate us, but you don't want us to go. And when people say we should come together, yes, there are limits to which people can go when they are suppressed. If people grew up, some of us that are speaking are a minority because so many people have given up. So many people have surrendered to the bitterness and to the high level of suppression. It is not easy to see the light and speak it out. Some of the people we don't want to mention are crying in their rooms because of the bitter experiences they have had in their lives. You find professors, you have medical doctors, you have scientists from our environment. They are not given opportunity to be anything. When Obasanjo appointed the chief of army staff from my community, they not disowned him. They said he was not one of them. He's still alive. And he lived with it, that he was rejected by the core North. And they lampooned Obasanjo for appointing him as chief of army staff. These are the realities we have lived in. And you want to continue to box us into a North where you don't respect us, where you don't want us, but you continuously want to keep us down and use us to discuss and negotiate political power with the South. If you extract, let me tell the world today why they don't want to recognize the Middle Belt. If you extract the Middle Belt communities from the core North, they cannot challenge the South when it comes to political negotiations. And that is the secret that the South needs to understand. Find a way of mapping out the Middle Belt communities and negotiate with us. We will put the carpet off the feet of all these people that are claiming to be Northern leaders. Because they have the numbers, they don't have. Once you remove the Middle Belt, they are finished politically. And they know it. And we are just praying that one day the South will understand this. When somebody comes on air and says that we are so-called, there is no bigger insult. But we are used to it. We are not so-called. We are Nigerian citizens who have a right to take our own identity. And we are asserting our identity by saying we are not Northerners, we are Middle Belters. And we have no apologies for that. And we're not begging anybody to like it.
Thank you so much.
Who continue to hate that nomenclature because it doesn't answer to what they want.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Jacob. Let us call on Elder Tango. His hand is up. Elder Tango, I would ask you to please be as brief as possible. We have to end the show as soon as possible.
Okay,
Elder Tango.
Yeah, thank you, Elumba. My question goes direct to Jacob. Mark Jacob, when Middle Belt Forum gathered, what is really the agenda of gathering and their topic, their motive of gathering when they call Middle Belt Forum? Can you give us the idea, reason for the agenda and the gathering and their topic? Because you have mentioned language barrier. They use Hausa was language for them. Hausa language.
I'm not the one that mentioned language barrier. It was Ali
someone
Baba that mentioned language. Ali Baba.
I don't mention language barrier. But now my question goes to you direct. When Middle Belt Forum gathered, what is the agenda and the motive of gathering and topic? All this is the problem.
We have.
Do they table it? Do they table the problem in the gathering?
Thank you so much, Odatango.
Sure. We do.
Now,
and we are going to invite you to the next meeting on the 4th of September so that you come and hear how we discuss.
Okay, I'm going to call on the next person. Remember that if you have spoken and you do not want to speak again, kindly lower your hand so that I will know not to call you again. Mr. Monday, your hand is up.
Yes, good day, everyone. Let me just rush this. In a democratic state, you need numbers to win elections. So whatever alliances the South can get, be it Middle Belt or the North, as long as they're going to have those numbers to win election, they go for it. That's number one. Then number two, in Nigeria, the Northerners occupy more than half of the population, be it individual county, in terms of state, in terms of the members in the two houses. So there is nothing anyone can actually do without involving the North. That is number two. Then number three, even in the geopolitical zoning, the Middle Belt was zoned with the North. So in that form, you can actually say they are closer to the North than the South. If they want to be relevant in any political dynamics, it has to be that they will align themselves with the ones that will give a higher number. And that is also in correlation with whatever political agenda that they have. That is another one. Then finally, for me, I want to really speak to Elobam TV. I mean, you've been doing a great job, but would you rather keep bringing topics that have not really done much to the country since 1960? Because from 1960 till date, our political terrain has not been driven by policies that can change things. It has always been based on religion divide or cultural divide and all that. Today alone, a few things happened in Nigeria that really will alert any media organization to be on their toes. Our doctors today are gathered at the Hotel Hilton trying to flee the country to Saudi Arabia. That is not politically or culturally motivated. It is because something is going wrong. So being that, don't cut me. I want to really criticize the organizers of this. Why don't you come up with a topic that is based on policy as a unifier instead of this continuous religious and cultural unifier topics that we've seen here for the past 1 month? I've attended a few of your programs. It's always been the same thing that we've seen since 1960 that has not worked. Policy driven. A drum maker in Nigeria today was hired by a freelance organization and he left. Our daughters are going. So can we be able to look at a policy that will unify whoever wants to lead the country instead of looking at the existing dynamics that has failed woefully over time? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Monday. Elumba Television and we have been trying to get the doctors and the labor ministry to come and talk about the strike action that have been taken by resident doctors. But this is something that we'll talk about later, not now when we have the topic. So I'm just going to move on to the next person. Thank you. Your concerns has been noted and we will do something about that. Mr. Philip, you are the next person on my list. Mr. Philip, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Jacob Mark, well done for your position. I can see what you have faced today is the voice of the enemy within. The enemy within are actually middle belters that have been mortgaged their souls, their spirits to the Fulani agenda. But we, Middle Belters, we know ourselves. We have our identity. We have our cultural identity. We have our political identity. We have our spiritual identity. Middle Belts, let me make this point clear. It's not just an idea. The Middle Belt of the 60s is different from the Middle Belt of today. We have our identity. Our land is at stake. Our cultures at stake. This, if you take away land, you take away culture, you take away language, you have killed the people. The point we want to say is, we already have an identity, a cultural identity, a spiritual identity. It is us that will define our identity. Yes, I want to agree with Dr. Hacking. Yes, our elders have failed, but the Middle Belt of today, we know where we are, where it is hurting. And let nobody not say we don't have an identity. We do. And today, this conversation is meaningful because we need to understand each other. Yeah, the Southeast have risen up, not today. The Southwest have also risen up. And I bet you, I take the challenge from Dr. Akin very seriously. Very soon, the South will hear the voice of the cultural Middle Belt. The Middle Belt of today is a geopolitical reality. We already have our identity, political identity, a cultural identity. The Middle Belt, we have our own identity. We will project it. It's a question of projection. We will project it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let us call on the next person, Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, your hand has been up for a while now.
Yeah,
let's hear from you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mark Jacob. Thank you for raising this occasion with your presence and your information that you've given us so far about the Middle Belt. I just want to make a few points here, observations from the conversation so far. I like what Mr. Akin said in form of challenging us, Dr. Akin. I wish he has packaged his criticism a bit better because we, the Middle Belt people, are not lazy. I object to that sentiment. And coming to Ali Baba, is it Ali Baba? I would like him to understand that because we speak Hausa doesn't make us Hausa people. Okay. Now, this forum, any opportunity I get, I want to hammer the things a lot of people have said here about understanding. We need to understand each other. There's no way you can align with me or help me or save me if you do not understand me. And if you will allow me, I will use just an example of Kaduna State and Benue State. They're in the Middle Belt. But you see, some people may try to observe why we have this impunity in Kaduna State and not in Benue State. We have a governor, for instance, in Kaduna State, who has taken disdain position against Southern Kaduna people. Okay, he has declared war against the people he is supposed to govern. But you see, Samuel Otum, on the other hand, is listening to his people and is doing exactly what his people are requiring of him. He is governing his people as a governor should govern. So the complexity of the Middle Belt can be seen in these two examples that I have given you. Yesterday on this program, I did tell you that in Southern Kaduna, for instance, you have close to, correct me, Mark, if I'm wrong, we have close to 50 nationalities in Southern Kaduna alone.
67.
67, you see. So if we are going to align with our brothers in the South, I think we should spend our time, me understanding my Southern brothers and my Southern brothers understanding us, and not pay attention to those politicians who will come to a forum like this and try to throw the same spanner in the works that the politicians have been using to perpetuate whatever they're perpetuating and insist on the stranglehold that they have got on us. So I will expect that we try and understand ourselves much better in our conversations, and the narratives that I understand and I believe that Middle Belt, we need to create a narrative that is commonly understood by all in terms of who we are, and we cannot wait or ask anybody to come and define those things for us, like have rightly been said here. So we need to create our narratives and choose what conversations we want to have. Then we ask our brothers in the South to please help us understand you and your issues that you probably have with us. And we will help you understand our people and our issues so that we can best go ahead and not waste our time pointing fingers and calling each other lazy or ulterior motive syndrome and all that kind of stuff. Because we can be here forever, you forcing me to defend myself and I'm forcing you to defend yourself. We can't go anywhere. Everybody that comes to a conversation, come with a narrative of any issue that you may have in mind. So if I come to the table with you and I have my narrative, I am somebody's son from somewhere, and my parents or my ancestors have a narrative which I grew up with. You put yours, I put mine, and you tell me that mine is wrong, I tell you yours is wrong. Somewhere along the line, there is the truth there. So if I say mine, if you say mine is wrong, you're telling me that my parents told me a lie. And if I say yours is wrong, so you can see that is not material for progress. But if we listen to each other, you tell me who you are, what your issues are, your challenges, your experiences. Like the first time I come to this forum, there was a young man from the Southeast who asked me, how can he trust me as a Middle Belt person? I love that kind of question because he is genuinely and sincerely trying to understand me. So if we stop pointing fingers and start trying to talk each other down, and for those of you like Nwanko here who has got a wealth of experience, let us, knowledge in history, let us use that. And for people like Mark who has been involved in a lot of dealings in the Middle Belt, let us listen to him and try to understand our positions so that we can move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let us call Mr. Alpha Moses. Mr. Alpha Moses.
Yes, ma. Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead. And please try to keep it as short as possible. We have extended our time to over 30 minutes now. Okay, ma.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you so much for having opportunity to be in this meeting. I just want to talk about 2 or 3 things. The first one is about being a Middle Belt, especially like we in Southern Kaduna. When you travel to Western part or South or Eastern part, they see us from all this, they see us like Hausa. In fact, that's a name they used to call. They will call you Aboki. Despite the explanation that you do to them to let them understand where you came from, still, they will still call you Aboki as you are Hausa. So this thing, in fact, it brings a lot of confusion and it's annoying at times. That's number one. Number two, the fourth speaker or the fifth speaker said something about the Middle Belt being marginalized by some group. Yes, I want to say one point on this issue. Just like I said, a Middle Belt, we did not allow ourselves to know each other as a Middle Belt, all of us. Some will tell you
Mr. Moses, okay, I think his network is interrupting him. Let us call the next person.
How about
Mr. Mr. Danladi.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be online and the opportunity to speak. I want to appreciate Mark Jacob Wanene and Mr. Paul Y for their submission. I love that. But the truth of the matter is that it is not the identity that is the issue. Who you are is who you are. And if you allow yourself to be identified negatively, then so be it. Of the truth, we from the Middle Belters, from the Middle Belt, we are a unique people that laziness is not in our kitties. And we'll do everything humanly and holistically to emancipate ourselves in whatsoever dimension. But the one thing that is really eluding us is the unity of purpose. It's the unity of purpose. That is the challenge within the Middle Belt, or within the Middle Belters lack absolute unity. And it always baffled me when people say the Northerners are marginalizing us. How? I always take exception from that angle. You can't marginalize me when I have what it takes to be who I am and what it takes. We have a lot of people of our people who are extraordinary intelligent, but the lack of unity. You find that your Middle Belter is in a position that he will now place his own the next level. He will refuse to do that until when he leaves office, he will now begin to bite his finger. How I wish, how I wish. How I wish are a regrettable statement. And I always avoid telling people how I wish because it is a regrettable thing. And Mark Jacob, I think from now henceforth, we should begin to change the narrative of this identity. Me, I know who I am. I am from the Middle Belt. And nobody will tell me that I am not a Middle Belter. Whether the Southern don't agree that I am a Middle Belter. I am a Middle Belter because I'm supposed to identify myself. If I don't write my history, who will write for you? If you allow somebody to write for you. Hello? Are you with me?
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
If you allow somebody to write your history, he will write what he wants to write. I want to make a reference to, was in 1960, 2nd October, when Satava Balar put his statement that he will use the Middle Belt as a gateway to the South. And of course, if not that the Middle Belt has stood their ground today, the issue of this insecurity, honestly speaking, the world have round up the South. But we know who we are. The Middle Belters are known to be warriors. They can fight intelligently, physically, and whatsoever it is, they can take to defend their land. And I want to assure us, our brothers who are from the South, that we will always collaborate with to ensure that we have a united front. And it is not the issue of dividing the nation. It's not dividing the nation that will give us what we want. No, the crux of the matter is we have allowed media to become the state of the art of today instead of merit. I want to give you a typical example, like one brother from Taraba talked about jam score, and he had to study in ABU Zaria. Yes, my son scored 252 points, and he was denied to read medicine in ABU Zaria. I have his result here. I can show it to anybody. When he finished his SSC, he had 7 distinctions. But when he applied for medicine in ABU, he was denied despite having 252 points. So what am I trying to say here? In the round, if you know who you are, nobody can change who you are. We in the Middle Belt, we know who we are, we have our identity, and it is left for us to write our identity and not any other person. I will equally want to interject or make an addendum on what Alpha Moses was saying, that he is being called Aboki when he gets to the South. I have been in the South several occasions. When you try that, I give you back. Seriously, I throw it with every strength of words I have in me. I'll denounce what you are saying so that if you see me the next time, you don't call me Aboki. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Hello, can I respond?
much.
I think let's allow other people to finish, and then Ali Baba and our chief guest are now, because our time is almost finishing.
Let us call the next person, Antonia. Okay, let us move to the next person.
Yes.
Ali Baba.
Antonia is here. Antonia.
Okay, Antonia, please go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Please try to keep your submissions as brief as possible. Thank you.
Yes, I'll do that. I think the problem here is for the middle belt to voice out. Their voice should be louder. You see, many people don't really, many Nigerians, especially those in the South, because all we hear is the 19 northern states. They have put them under the North. And then, there's little people know about. And that's why when they come to the South, because I'm from the South, that's why when they come to the South, some people think they are bookies. So I believe that the middle belt, they should be louder. We want to hear their voice. We want to hear you. Let people know who you are. Come out, speak out. And then another thing is that some of the leaders in the middle belt, it's like they have sold their birthright. Some of their leaders have sold their birthright, and it's like, they are now, whatever the Fulanis, they tell them, that's what they do. So there's also need for unity. The middle belt, they should be united. Let them be united. Let them speak with one voice. And they have that population on their side. When it's time for them to vote, let them vote their own. Don't let them vote for people from vote people from middle belt. Put them as your governors. Put them there. So that as they are there, and then with the South, we come together, then we're a very strong force to be able to pull down the enemy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Antonia. Let us hear from Magaji's iPhone. Magaji.
Thank you.
Magaji.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, the host. I sincerely want to appreciate you for the time given to me. My name is Magaji Ayok, from Port Harcourt, to be specific. I'm speaking from Port Harcourt, and I want to appreciate Mark Jacob. He's my bigger brother, whom I'm proud of. I just want to say something on the last speaker. I will be on air 93.7 on Saturday. So the
Is Magaji lost?
Can I talk?
If Magaji's
Mr. Magaji, Mr. Issues. Let's go back to Ali Baba.
Yeah, thank you.
Ali Baba. Yes, please try to keep your submissions as short as possible.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think the first 2 points I made has been reiterated, has been finally confirmed. Like I said, you can't put something on national and expect it to start. They have admitted North Center is not synonymous with middle belt. Two, Middle Belt is essentially a religious platform. And that's why, all the rigmarole is essentially admitted to that. But I want to repeat what Monday said, because all these religious or ethnic history were still playing into the hands of the ruling establishment, who have no sincere or any true allegiance to any tribe or religion or reason. They're only interested and they enhance and defend their narrow interest of exploitation. And so long as we don't rise above, and that's why I really appreciate Mr. Monday, let's focus on issues that are fundamental. In all the so-called middle, all this middle belt they are talking about, they don't want to focus. Which is the best managed state there? They are the least developed. Yes, it is their own sons and daughters that are ruling those states. They are the ones in control of their state. They are the ones in control of their local government. And yes, they are the least developed. Others even have socio-economic platforms or not central doesn't have, because of all this noise about individual
Sorry, guys. I just have to object to what Ali Baba is saying. I don't think. I'm sorry. I don't.
Mr. Abintini.
No. I don't think we're here to.
Mr. Abintini.
No, I don't think we're here to listen.
Mr. Abintini.
Call people underdeveloped and all that. I am not underdeveloped. Are you? Are you underdeveloped? I'm not underdeveloped. So
yes, I think Ali Baba is not focusing on the topic.
No, please.
No, I think Mr. Ali Baba is getting it wrong.
He's not focusing
Mr.
on the topic.
Ali Baba is giving us the wrong.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ali Baba.
So let me talk. I didn't suggest you moderators.
Mr. Ali Baba, kindly remember that you are in a public forum, so would ask that you should be very mindful of your words. Go ahead, please.
That's what I'm saying now.
Calling people so-called.
Things that matter. So some of you are busy with that issue. You say I'm not looking, that I'm sold out and whatever. I think are busy because those are sentiments and they don't matter. Most of our states are the least developed in this country. So we should focus on that. Like Monday said, focus on things that matter to people, not these sentiments that are being used to swear them here and there. And middle belt, as long as you continue to lament, you have no definite common identity. It's either religion or geography. Too easy. This is southwest and southeast, and that is why all this noise is more pronounced there. It's because they have language. Why is South not talking the way they are talking? Because they are different people. So you just said even Southern Kaduna has nearly 20 or whatever so-called nation. So let people think. Fundamentally, people want the good life, good education, good roads, good health, and then interpersonal relationships, jobs. That is what people want, not this sentence. This sentence will take nobody anywhere. It's still divide and rule by the ruling elite. So I think Mr. Lomba should focus on more fundamental issues than all these issues. Whatever they are.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ali Baba.
Yeah, let's move on.
Thank you so much, Ali Baba. Thank you so much, Ali Baba. Thank you so much, Ali Baba. We have listened to you, and I'm sure that people want to comment, but we are out of time. So I would ask that if you have comments, if you have questions, if you have more things to say, you kindly wait behind for the heart-to-heart conversation after the recording has stopped. But for now, we'll have to go back to our guest, Mr. Mark Jacobs. It's over to you. Let us hear from you before we let you go.
Okay, thank you for this last bite. I want to say from the onset that Ali Baba typifies the kind of people who have no regard for anybody but themselves. You can't continue to use so-called on people who have identity, who have more personality than you. I don't expect that on this platform, but it is okay. We're used to it because they have this mindset that nobody should define himself and assert himself. And once you do it, you are described as bringing division on religious lines. But he doesn't know that even the Sadona defined the middle belt for us. He said there are all those non-Muslim communities in the north, way back in 1957. That statement is credited to Sardona when he was asked about the definition of the Middle Belt. He said that they should nobody should mind those people, that they are all the non-Muslim communities in the north. And we admit that we are not Muslim, but we have never also built a wall between our brothers, because we have brothers and sisters that are Muslims, and we cannot, by virtue of religion, throw them out of our existence or out of our brotherhood. We are brothers to them. Some people do not accommodate others that have different religion. We don't. And we admit and accommodate everybody. And that is the Middle Belt spirit. Now, we have endured a lot, but I want to reemphasize that the way the Middle Belt Forum was known in the 60s, where people will surrender because the ruling class does not like them, it's no longer like that. The Middle Belt of today is made up of Nigerians who identify themselves, who are proud of who they are, who are educated. We are lawyers, we are doctors, we are engineers, and we are proud of our heritage. We survived and became what we are without the support of government. And the northern government left to them will not be anything. But thank God to the missionary schools, thank God to the intervention from even Southerners who opened doors for some of us to read in the South. Otherwise, we'll be nothing. We'll be the beggars and the hewers of wood in the North. But God has elevated us despite the suppression and repression. I want to say this again, that the alliance between the Middle Belt communities in the entire North was tested in 2011 during the election of Goodluck Jonathan. Anybody interested in winning election in Nigeria should attempt to reenact that. And the key is in our hands. We know how to do it, and we are not going to shy away from it. The people who are posturing as Northerners and they don't want anybody to identify himself as a Middle Belter, they're actually scared of the word Middle Belt. And if I will re-emphasize what my elder brother Paul said, let us have some understanding from our Southern brothers. Try and understand our position and try and look for the bridges we can build. Forget the past that was being championed by those who did not understand this fight. It is not about mudslinging. It's not about talking people down. It is about identifying who you can partner with. The world works today. Around the world is about synergy. Everything you are seeing around the world is about bridge building. And if we can build these bridges between the South and the Middle Belt, you have nothing to fear from the South. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. And that concludes this exclusive interview powered by Aluban Television. We have been discussing with the National Legal Advisor for the Middle Belt Forum, Mr. Mark Jacobs. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. Mr. Mark Jacobs. And we have been discussing the